Damas y caballeros, bienvenidos al show de Joe Lusitano. Hola muchachos y muchachas, mi amiga aquí es la bella y muy talentosa Isabel DeLaCruz. Yo soy el bala. Yo.
¡Como mierda!
Perdón, un momento, por favor. Oh, I am so sorry, guys. Hold on one second. I have got to get this fixed. Somebody accidentally left on the Auto Telemundo translator. We will be right back and we will start over with the program. I am so sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above Average Show Show! Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Above Average Joe Show. Today, we have an actress here that has worked recently on MacGyver, Insatiable, and several other projects. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some other stuff that is not actually film-related also. But first, let me go ahead and introduce our very special, talented guest, Isabel DeLaCruz. And as always, I am your host, Joe.
¡Como mierda!
Oh my gosh. There's always one in the room. Ugh. Anyways, moving on. Our guest today, like I said, Isabel DeLaCruz is here. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you.
I am
for
doing
inviting
great.
me.
Oh, thank you for being here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Is this your first podcast, or have you done one before? Or?
No, this is my first podcast.
First podcast,
So-
wow. So let's go ahead and go right into the basic interview questions. As an actress, one, I want to know, how would you define what you do to somebody who has no idea what an actress is or what they do?
What I would describe acting as is definitely, like a representation of life. And I think it's a great vehicle to show people, lessons and whatnot through storytelling, whether it's fictional or whether it's something that has already happened. I think it's a great way to get to people's minds and hearts and explain to them like, hey, this is the consequences of such and such and such action if you go down this path or whatever, like the dark side or something,
Or the Matrix.
Or the Matrix. Which, I have a confession, actually. I have not seen the Matrix until like a few days ago. And
But you're loving it.
I definitely am. I am loving that. And we just watched the second movie last night, and it was like 1:30 at night. And then, how there's a cliffhanger at the end. And I was like, please tell me you have the third movie and put it on right now. He's like, you're about to pass out. No, you're not. But yeah, it's on my list. So
Awesome. And being an actress, how did you get there? What did you do? What steps did you take? You can go far back as you want as a child, if you're a child actor, or if you just stumbled into it as an adult. One thing that I do know about you, though, that I'd like to include in this story is talking about Los Clavos y la Cruz.
Los Clavos y la Cruz,
Which you can start before that and work that into the story, or if you want to start there, however you want to tell the story. But how did you get into acting?
I've been wanting to be an actress since I was like 11 years old, and I never could because I grew up in Puerto Rico, and the acting industry is kind of very saturated there. Meaning, like, if you don't know anybody, or if you don't, if you don't have what we call pala in Spanish, you don't get very far. I started, doing theater club and whatnot. It wasn't until I graduated college, actually, when I decided to pursue acting. So my family were especially my dad was kind of against it. He was like, no, you got brains. You better study something that would give you, you know, security and money and blah, 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 blah.
And what were you studying in college?
So I first started studying math because I'm a nerd. So I started studying computational mathematics. So it was like computer programming with math together. After I got to calculus 2, I know, y'all, please don't kill me. I went all the way to calculus 2, and I was watching this double derivatives and crap, and I was like, okay, you know what? I am never going to use this in my life. We're done. So I actually took kind of a semester off, and I decided to basically take classes like from all departments. Like I'm talking about, I took psychology and like I also took another math class. Don't ask, because I was, you know, in
just
the
in
hopes.
case the first math wasn't good enough.
Right.
We'll try a different math.
Right. I'm like, maybe I will try. And you know what the class was called? It was called discrete math. Right. Exactly. Exactly. If you could see his face, that would be great.
Well, I was thinking you were going to say Hispanic math.
No.
It's like, we
What
use
the
Hispanic
hell?
numbers.
No, they're all the same. So I was taking that class. It was 6 of us in the class, and I would fall asleep every single class. We only had like a round table kind of thing, and I would fall asleep every time. But you know what's the funny part, though? Like, I was the only one actually answering the questions from my sleep. I'd be like, it's 7, you know. And people would be like, how in the world are you doing this, you know? How the hell? But anyway.
You would literally be doing math in your sleep.
I know, which I still do. It's, as a matter of fact, that happened to me last night. Like, I fell asleep. Chris is talking to me, right? He knows he shouldn't talk to me after a certain time of night because I just fall asleep. He has a very soothing voice. So
It's sexy. We'll hear it at some point in another podcast.
I know, yes. Yeah, so if he makes you fall asleep, I apologize. He does that to me too. So
or if he turns you on, I apologize.
Right, that too. It's all right. I'm not jealous. It's cool. So yeah, I literally like had like a micro sleep, you know, like a microsecond. I fell asleep for like 5 seconds, and I literally opened my eyes and I was like, dude, I was doing math right now. And he's like, are you listening to me? I'm like, no. Sorry. So I was taking that class, right? I took classes from like all departments, like philosophy, history, you know, like everything you can imagine. And my psychology class was the one that caught up my attention. The neuroscience part, my grandmother was facing Alzheimer's at the time. And so, you know, understanding how Alzheimer's work and how literally your brain is being like chewed away, you know, like literally dying, like shrinking. You know, that fascinated me and it blew my mind. So I decided to, you know, I'm going to change to a biology major and I want to study neuroscience. So I moved to Illinois, of all places, you know. So my first winter there was negative 20 degrees.
You know, Neuroscience Central, Illinois.
Yeah, sure. So I graduated with a degree in molecular and cellular biology from there and with a concentration in neuroscience. Yeah, so after I graduated, I was actually facing a pretty bad depression back then. I don't know if it was the weather. It probably was. It contributed a lot.
It got worse with every inch of snow.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, I was going through a pretty bad depression. I was like, you know what? I need to, you only get to live once, you know? And I was like, I gotta pursue my dream. This is something I've been putting in the back burner for the longest time. And I literally just handed my diploma to my dad. I was like, I'm gonna be an actress now. See what happens. And I started taking classes in Orlando. So when I graduated Illinois, I moved to Orlando. And I went to Truthful Acting Studios. Amazing school. Like anybody listening in Orlando, seriously, that school is gonna change your life. There were so many things that I was dealing with that I couldn't like accept from myself. That school definitely helped me through that as well. So even if you just want to become a better person, like just go to and take acting classes. But yeah, so I started doing that. I started, you know, doing free movies and stuff like that. No pay. You get to learn what not to do in the industry and a lot of stuff.
Very fast.
Very fast. You know, not all of them are bad. I mean, I made a lot of really good relationships there. A lot of friends that we're still friends today. So yeah, I started doing a bunch of those, and I started doing community plays, and one of them was Los Clavos y la Cruz. I came across this person who wanted to do a Christian play, and I was the lady on the well in the Bible, and we kind of made it comedic, you know, kind of like very approaching people and
as the Bible is.
Right, sure. So basically, I'm carrying a tray of water, and I'm just giving water to everybody, kind of thing, and it was really fun. And but at the end, this lady approached me and she gave me a hug, and it was so tight. And she was like, "Thank you so much for that." Kind of like she needed that. And that's when I realized, I was like, wow, this is my calling. Like, I really need to do this from now on.
That must have been
So-
some water you were handing out.
I know, right? It was
Wow.
delicious.
Was it blessed beforehand? Was it holy water they were drinking?
Well, I have to pee very often, so I'm not sure. No, I'm
Ooh.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so yeah, that was like an eye-opening moment for me, for sure. But anyway, so I went back after, that lady came to me and gave me that hug and whatnot. I was like, this is my calling. So I went back to my job like a week later, and I literally talked to my boss. We had a really cool conversation, and he was like, "You know what? I'm gonna talk to you as a father, not as a boss." It's like, "Are you married?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Do you have kids?" "No." It's like, "Do you like this job?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Then what are you doing here? Go pursue your dream." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So I was like, "You know what? I'll consult the pillow tonight or whatever." It's like what we say in Spanish. So I go home and I started looking for places on Craigslist or whatever. And I was like, "You know what? I gotta move to Atlanta. That's where it's hot at right now." That was in Orlando at the time. And I was
Orlando's hot too.
well, no.
Different type of hot.
Different type of hot. So yeah, so I went and I was like, I literally quit the next day. I didn't have a job here. I didn't know anybody here in Atlanta. Like, I literally just packed up everything. I came back and I told him, so yeah, in a week I'm moving to Atlanta. And he's like, "Wait, what? I mean, I didn't mean for like our conversation." Like, he was like, "Oh, it did." I'm like, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." And I literally walked out. I gave back my computer and everything that they gave me, and I just, I literally left about a week later. I found a place here. I ended up sleeping in a couch for like 2 months. But yeah, I moved to Atlanta. I literally packed up everything I could fit in my car, and I just drove here. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just took off from there.
Yep.
Immediately starring role in hit series.
Well, not immediately. Actually, my first gig was with Tyler Perry as an extra.
Nice.
We'll be right back with this podcast, but first, a quick commercial.
What happened here?
I tried to stop her.
Stop who? Was it Lorona?
No, it was my Sharona.
Father, what do you know about my Sharona? You know, the hit song.
It is a hit to some. Never gonna stop. Give it up. Such a dirty mind. Always get it up to the touch.
My. You need to help us, Father.
Oh, my little pretty one. Pretty one. When you gonna give me some time, Sharona?
Father, it's just a matter of time, Sharona. Is it just a game in my mind, Sharona?
Come a little closer, huh? Close enough to look in my eyes, Sharona. Keeping it a mystery gets to me, running down the length of my thighs, Sharona.
Father, did you just pee your robe?
Shh, Jess. Do not repeat that to anyone.
How do you know so much about her, Father?
You could say I just have a knack for this sort of thing.
From there, I was actually having I was doing a job as a computer programmer, ironically enough.
As the molecular and cell biologists typically do.
Right. So yeah, no, I hopped from job to job. Like, I had a job in a chemistry lab first, and that was horrible. And and then what was the other job I had? I don't even remember. But anyway, then I moved to doing computer programming for a ton of big companies and whatever. And I was like, you know what? This is like, I didn't feel fulfilled at all. And I made a choice to never have a job that I don't enjoy. Even if it only pays $8.50 an hour. Like I worked at a gas station and I actually had fun. I actually liked it. You get to know a lot of people because there are a lot of people, especially smokers.
Regulars, yeah.
Yeah, they come.
A lot of underage drinkers trying to get beer.
No, we didn't sell beer. Not in that gas station. It was a very small gas station. But we did sell a lot of cigarettes. And yeah, it's incredible the amount of cigarettes that people smoke sometimes. Anyway, we're not here to judge anybody or talk about, smoking or anything. But I think it's a very, very dangerous addiction,
Yeah, and everybody's entitled to their opinions.
No, of
Based on
course.
facts, scientific facts that tell you that it will destroy your lungs. I mean,
Right. And I mean, and not just that. I think what blew my mind the most was seeing people who could not afford to buy cigarettes. Like they would literally just hand me pennies and be like, "Is this enough?" And they would be buying like 3 packs, like cartons of cigarettes, and they would be like, "Is this enough?" And they would be like short by like 25 cents or whatever. I'm like, sure, whatever, take it. But I don't know. It just made me feel really bad. But anyway, so I made a choice to not, have jobs that I didn't enjoy. Thankfully, I found tutoring. So I actually tutor on my off time, or most of my time actually, when I'm not like auditioning or working jobs, right? Doing gigs.
What do you tutor for? What different categories are you a tutor for?
Well, I tutor. Wait for it. Math, chemistry, biology, physics, and Spanish. So.
All at the same time, or is this like each student gets to pick one of those categories, or do you have like students that pick like, I want to learn all 5 of those, or do they try to learn math in Spanish?
Well, right. So I have students, it's a little bit of everything. So I have students that is just for Spanish. I have students that is just for math. I have one student that I teach him like geometry and Spanish and biology, like it depends. Sometimes it actually works on my favor because some parents are like, oh, he needs help in this and this and this and that. So can you just tutor him all of them and we'll do a 3-hour session? I'm like, okay, sure, whatever.
Do you ever start tutoring the kids with the wrong subject? To where you have a math student come in and you start talking in Spanish and they're like, I don't know what you're saying. And you're like, wait, you're not the Spanish student.
No, I have had a problem though with names. I am terrible with names, and sometimes, like I would have an Albert, and I will call him James,
You don't just call him all
like
Bato?
Bato. I should do that. Like, Bato, I'm not Mexican, bro.
I just picked a word that sounded good.
Yeah. I'll be like, dude.
Amigo.
Yeah, I call them all dudes. I was like, oh, yeah, dude. Even the girls, I just call them dudes, I have like a 10-year-old, and she's like in 9th grade, and I know. Yeah, I said that right. She's 10. And she is like in 9th grade. She's about to be in 9th grade.
Wow.
And yeah, I homeschool her, so yeah, it's
And she's about to get her doctorates on the side.
kind of, yeah. You know how hard it is to teach chemistry to a 9-year-old?
I was gonna say, is she like one of the molecular biologists that you're?
Yes, I teach her
She's your little
science.
protege.
Yeah, I teach her science, Spanish, and a bit of computer programming. So I do like very basic computer programming. So I teach her that, and it's like, man, it's so hard because even though she's super smart, right, obviously, she's still 10, she just turned 10, so she was still 9, so she'll be like putting tape on my boots, like she's like, I swear, I don't know if you can see, no, I peel it off, but like in my water bottle, I would have tape all over it, like all over my jacket, everything, all the time. She'll put it on the chair, so I would sit on it, so I'll be walking around in the grocery store with like tape on my butt. And she thinks it's hilarious.
Oh, it is hilarious. That's funny. I like her already.
Yeah, I know. So she got it from her dad, though. Yeah, I talk a lot with her dad, and he's a trip, man. He's a trip. He's really funny. He told me one time he glued. I don't remember what kind of job he used to do, but like his last day of work, he literally glued everything on the desk of his coworker. Like literally everything, like, and he had like this accelerator thing that you glue it and it seals instantly. So he glued literally everything. He was like, "What are they gonna do? Fire me? It's my last day of work." And I was like, "Wow, she got it from you. Okay, cool." Yeah, I was like, I figured her mom wouldn't do that. She's really nice. So, anyway.
And then recently, you have worked on 2 pretty big projects. One is MacGyver, and one is Insatiable.
Yes.
MacGyver, I watched that episode. It's the only episode of MacGyver I watched.
Aw.
And I did watch it just for you.
Aww.
Which I was like, got through the first half of the show, and I was like, I swear she said she was in this. Because there's a lot of building up to what was going to happen. I was like,
Right.
okay, at some point she's either got to show up or she got completely edited out.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured I'd just keep watching it. And it's not until like the last maybe 10 minutes, I think, or 15 minutes do you actually show up.
Right.
And it's during the climax of the entire show. But you're working right shoulder to shoulder with the main actor.
Yeah.
What was it like working on that set? What was the treatment like? And what was it like working next to this established actor on this show that's been doing really, really well?
Well, it was actually really, really fun. So the main actor, Lucas, right? The main actor, Lucas Till, and he was a lot of fun. It was really funny because that day in particular, he didn't know his lines. Like, he just didn't. And I could tell that he was really tired, and whatnot. And
But you were a tutor. You could help him.
What's that?
You were a tutor. You could help him.
I don't know his lines. I only know my lines, which were none, actually. And it was funny because I was really upset at first. Because I was like, man, I'm supposed to be like a co-star and I have no lines. So I'm basically like a glorified extra, And then I saw the show, I saw the script, and I was like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't talk, because otherwise I'll be dead.
Yeah.
But, so you guys gotta watch it, season 2, episode 21 of MacGyver. But yeah, so it was really fun. Everybody was very welcoming. Fun fact, the episode took place in Puerto Rico after the hurricane, and it was, to create awareness of, help out Puerto Rico and all that kind of stuff. And I was the only Puerto Rican on the show.
So they didn't fly you to Puerto Rico just to film this?
No.
Where did they film it? Was it local here?
Yeah, it was local here in Atlanta. They basically grabbed a bank, right, here, or a credit union or something. And it's supposed to be credit union in Puerto Rico. See, this is something that really fascinates me, how a lot of TV shows, they don't put a lot of effort into correct translations. I mean, I don't need to bash the show or anything. I really like it. I mean, I had a great experience with them. But it upsets me every time, I go there and they say, like, unión de crédito. I'm like, that is not a thing. Like, that is not a word. It's
I don't even know what you just said.
credit union.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unión de crédito. That's, like, literally just translated it. It's cooperativa. That's the correct word, which is a cooperative, I guess.
But
like
Google doesn't tell you that. How are we supposed to know?
You find somebody who speaks Spanish. That's what you do. Like an unión de crédito is not a thing.
There's a budget for this show.
Well, true. But even in another movie I did with Sandra Bullock, like it was a huge budget. We showed up. I was an extra for that particular movie. It's like a feature extra. We show up and they had all the signs around it. There was like it was our brand's crisis. Thankfully, they had the budget to fix it. And the next day or like a few hours later, they actually fixed all of the signs around it.
Oh, wow.
Because they were all wrong. Like, it was grammatically incorrect. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Was that after you pointed it out, or was there somebody else? Oh.
Yeah.
So because you said something.
Yes. So I walked in there. So it was like 14 of us who were like a feature extra. And they chose us specifically because we spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
So we get there and everybody, it's really funny how you show up on set and because, like you're at the bottom of the barrel, like nobody dares to speak up. Yeah. And I've never been that way. I've always been the one who just like, hey, I grabbed the PA. I'm like,
escuchen, muchachos.
Right. I'm like, permiso, did you guys know that those signs are wrong? Like all of them? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's supposed to say vota por Castillo, no vota para Castillo. I mean, por para is a very difficult subject for those of you who know a little bit of Spanish. It's kind of difficult. But I'm like, guys, they're wrong. Like that, it's not like an okay translation. It was like bad. So they had to fix it all, and reprint them all. And I was like, who the hell translated any of this stuff? And they're like, oh yeah, we hired a guy. And I'm like, did he speak Spanish?
We hired Jeff.
Yeah, it's like, we hired John, in the back. And I'm like, oh, geez.
Oh,
like,
Juan? No, John.
Right, it's like, seriously? So yeah, so I'm like, so basically you hired somebody to sit on Google and translate stuff. I was like, please, don't do that. If there's any filmmakers, hearing this and you plan on doing it in a different language, find somebody who speaks that language.
And
because
almost every set has Hispanics that work in production, whether they're in catering or if they're in crafty or in wardrobe or somewhere. There's usually somebody who speaks Spanish at least, not somebody who has to look it up on Google.
Yeah, I think...
Or Google-o, as they call it.
Google. I think the main issue is that everybody is so... Because there's a lot going on, you know, obviously behind the scenes. And those of us who work in the industry, we know that the tasks have to be so divided, you know. So if your wardrobe only. I don't care if you speak Spanish, like you are not supposed to cross over into, you know, the production or whatever, and to help us translate, because that's not your job, you know. We're not paying you for that. And it's kind of like I had an experience on set one time where we were doing a very tricky shot where we were inside a bathroom and I'm supposed to be like crying in the bathroom and whatnot, which by the way I cry a lot on camera for some reason.
Stereotype.
I know, right?
They just know your real life.
I guess so. It's such a horrible life.
By the way, we were roommates before, so I have this firsthand. I'm kidding.
All right.
Totally. Well, no, I'm not kidding about being roommates, but totally kidding about crying in the bathroom.
So crying in the bathroom.
As far as everybody should know.
Yeah. Well, geez, thank you, Joe. Thank you. Like, seriously. And now, you know, the whole
you've
taking
been in my
virginity.
bathroom when I cried too, so we do a lot on this show. It's to help the public.
Right. Well, anyway, so, you know, somebody who is, even if they're capable of translating, sometimes they just don't cooperate because they don't, you know, whatever. Oh, so I was saying I was one time on a shot, and I was supposed to be crying, you know, on the sink and whatnot. So the person, because the bathroom was so small in the house that we rented, the person, she had to be like behind the toilet, the camera person, and she had to be like behind the toilet, and it was a super tricky angle. You know, when you have a tripod, it's really hard, you know. So I saw that her camera was kind of like falling, so I grabbed it, and I was like, "Are you okay? Like, fix yourself. I got you." And she was like, "Oh, your job is to cry, not to like, don't touch my camera or whatever." And she was nice. I mean, it wasn't like, you know.
Did she purposely kind of make it fall to drop to make it do something? Or
No. She was having a hard time actually, you know, setting up for that shot because it was so tricky. Like the space she had was like less than a foot wide, you know. So it was really, really tricky for her. She was like on top of the toilet. Like it was really weird. So yeah, she was like, "Well, you know, your talent, so you just focus on what you're doing. I got this." And I'm like, okay. I mean, we had a relationship before that, so I knew that she was joking. Okay. Yeah, no, she wasn't mean or anything. I knew she was joking, but I was like, it's okay. You know, I'm not a diva. I'm not going to be like, well, if your camera breaks, good luck. You know, like if your freaking $1,000 camera is about to fall, I will help you, you know, because I'm a human being, you know. But yeah, so everything is so divided, and especially some people get that way. Because she told me that the reason she doesn't like talent touching her stuff is because she has had talent where she would ask them, you know, when she was in a tricky spot like that, and they were like, excuse me, I'm not getting paid for that. You know, it's like, why do you have to be such an ass? I'm sorry, like, this is not PG, right? It's not supposed to be PG? Okay.
No. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Was it? No, I don't like cussing. But I mean, I do, but not in public.
Yeah.
But,
I don't like that shit either.
Yeah. Joe! So, yeah, I mean, it is that way sometimes, you know, where it's so divided that even if they see it, they don't dare say anything because that's not my job. Yeah. You know, and they don't want to get yelled at, so...
And I totally understand. I've worked in a corporate environment before, worked in an office environment, worked where the departments don't cross departments. Departments don't tell other departments what to do because it's not their department. Oh. So I kind of totally get that, but at the same time, if somebody's helping you, I would never turn down help. Right. Unless it's going to be something that's hurting. If you grab my camera, you're going to accidentally press buttons, the settings are already set, and now you just ruined my focus. Right. And now we've got to reset everything. Totally would get that. Right. But if it's just like, I don't want your $10,000 camera to hit the ground. Right. I'd be like, please, catch it. Right. And I mean, I wasn't even touching the camera per se. I was holding the tripod primarily. But still, I mean, it's like... Oh, yeah, if you touched my tripod, I would be all over you and be like, Totally get it. That's a $50 tripod. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick break here. We've been talking for a little while. You'll get to hear a few words from our sponsors, and we will be right back with more Isabel DeLaCruz.
This episode brought to you by El Googlo, for when you need to find out la verdad about that mentirosa.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for still hanging out with us. Our guest here today is still the wonderful, talented Isabel DeLaCruz,
Yay!
who is from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Like a friend of mine told me the other day. He's like from, I don't remember where he's from. I don't want to say the wrong country. But he was like, oh, you're from Puerto Rico. And I'm like, yeah, how do you know that? Because that's how we talk. And he's like, oh, yeah, my girl's Puerto Rican too. And I'm like, oh, that explains it. And then she scolded him on the phone, like, did not just tell her that. He's like, well, she thought it was funny.
And you were born and raised there.
Yes.
At what point did you decide to move?
So I moved when I was 20 years old in 2010. I just told my age. Oops. So yeah, I moved to Illinois to pursue my molecular and cellular biology degree in Illinois.
Cool, awesome. And then, so you've been there for 20 years, and just recently we had a hurricane come through Puerto Rico, which you still have family and friends and relatives that all still live there.
Yeah.
And you went back to visit them.
Yes.
Right after that. Tell everybody what you saw and what it was like to see that aftermath of what happened in Puerto Rico, because you were familiar with what it should look like,
right,
compared to the devastation that did happen.
Right. So yeah, so my dad still lives there with my stepmom and my uncles, cousins, and they still all live there. I didn't go right after. I did decide to help a lot, so I remember I went to the post office with like 50 pounds of batteries. They're so freaking heavy. I was like, and the lady, she didn't want to ship them. And I was like, ma'am, these are alkaline batteries. They're not lithium batteries. They'll be fine. They're not going to explode, I promise. And obviously, they're not trained for this kind of stuff. So she was like reading the manuals. And she's like, I don't know if I should let you, ship this many. And I'm like,
you give her the molecular biology of batteries.
Well, the chemistry of it. I'm like, ma'am. So the circuits, how they work. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so eventually, after some discussion, she ended up shipping all 50 pounds of batteries there. And my dad got them. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, you guys don't have any batteries. So anyway, so I went there. Actually, it was about a year later when I went. I went in June of last year. I could still see the struggle, I could still see, like, in some landfills and stuff, I would see, like, fences all destroyed. Stoplights, they were gone. And when I mean gone, I mean, like, the stoplight, the actual stoplight, gone. It was just a tube by itself, and stuff like that. So I went with some friends, and they're like, how do people drive here? And I'm like, they use their instincts. You just gotta use your instincts. That's it. So she would see somebody, like, making a random U-turn, like, in the middle of the street. She's like, well, she's using her instincts,
There's no sign that says you can't anymore.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's hard to drive there. Even still, I've been communicating with my family and stuff, obviously. And I just recently found a nonprofit organization in Puerto Rico called Juntos Somos Más Fuertes, PR, and which means Together We're Stronger. And they are still, till this day, I talked to her on the phone this morning, and I was like, so, tell me about it. Like, what are you guys doing? All that kind of stuff. And she's like, well, right now, we're working on, she's like, there's still people who don't have a home. Like, she's like, I just met a family that they're living in the community center of their neighborhood because they don't have a house, and they never got FEMA's help. Like, there's still people who are really, really struggling. She was telling me about people who still have the, and I saw that actually when I was there in June of last year, which I'm going back in June, by the way. Last year, they still had, like, the blue, what are they called? The,
tarp?
tarp. Yeah, they still had like blue tarps on their roofs because they had no roof. As a matter of fact, my dad and my uncle, both of them, part of their roof flew away because a lot of houses in Puerto Rico, they're either made of concrete, right, or they're made of wood. And my dad's house is made out of wood, so he has like a tin roof, you know. So part of it, like, gone. So his entire bedroom was flooded, like his mattress gone, you know, like everything. Thankfully, and randomly enough, all the clothes in his dresser, they were fine. He's like, "Well, that's a good dresser." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Did you tape them or something?" He's like, "No, I just left them there. You know, I didn't think that my roof was gonna fly away. You know, so everything inside the dressers, thankfully, was okay, but everything else, everything in the closet, everything was, you know, wet and gone. So he had to rebuild, you know, part of it. My uncle today, he's still rebuilding his entire house because part of his roof also flew away. So he decided to turn the entire house, you know, reinforce the entire roof. And all that kind of stuff. But thankfully, they have the resources to do that because they've been people who have saved, you know, money throughout the years and stuff. But some people don't, and some people just don't even have the resources. And right now, there's so many people who are living. They're making like their own little shelters, like near where they used to live at, and they just have like a kitchen. That's all they have. Like they have a random stove in the outside. So when it rains, like it rains on their stove. You know, like it's so bad, especially in the non-metro areas, you know, like up in the mountains and stuff, is really, really difficult for them. So if anybody's interested in donating to them, I'm going to put all the information for this. They have a Facebook page, and you can all find them on Facebook. Again, it's Juntos Somos Más Fuertes Puerto Rico. So the email is juntosomosmasfuertespr@gmail.com. I'm going to put all that in my page. You can follow me, actually, at Isabel
Which will be
DeLaCruz
easier
Actress.
to spell.
Right. Isabel DeLaCruz Actress. Isabel is Isabel, just Bel, not Belle, or Isabella,
BLE.
or anything like that. What's that?
BLE
Ble.
is able.
Able. Is
Yeah.
Able. Is able.
Isabel
I'm able.
DeLaCruz.
I'm able. But yeah, as a matter of fact, at work we used to make fun of me and say it's a bell, like I'm a bell, but that's fine. It's cool. And yeah, they also have like a PayPal account if you guys want to donate, and you can see all their work. It's paypal.me/JSMF. You can donate there, and I'll put all the address and the, you know, the ways that you can donate. They're really, really awesome. Like they've been doing not just helping people rebuild, but they're actually helping people, you know, giving them workshops, you know, on how to, you know, inspirational workshops and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, especially after such, you know, horrible disasters, people just lose hope. And when you have a government like Puerto Rico's government, I mean, people just lose hope because they feel like the government should be for the people and they should be helping them, and they just don't care for the most part. And so yeah, they need to be, you know, helped out, and not just financially or, you know, just helping them rebuild, but also helping them realize, hey, you got this, you know, like we're all in this together. And that's why the name of the group is Together We're Stronger. So
And one thing I think we should bring up too, just for a little bit of educational purpose for this podcast, is that Puerto Rico is actually part of the United States.
correct.
So when Puerto Rico gets hit by a hurricane, it's no different than when New Orleans gets hit, or Houston gets hit, or the
Right.
East Coast gets hit.
Well,
The
it
only-
shouldn't be
It
any
shouldn't
different.
be. Our response shouldn't be any different because they are still part of our country. The only difference is that they're not allowed to vote. Well, the major difference, one of the major differences.
Yeah. So we are basically a commonwealth, right? Which means that we are technically independent in a way, but we also go by the laws of the United States, like the Supreme Court and stuff like that. So when there are things that our court can't handle, you know, federal cases, like really big important cases or something, like they all go to the federal court. But yeah, we are not allowed to vote for president. That's one of the things that is pretty different. We don't have federal taxes though, so it's kind of a benefit in a way. because we're a territory, but we're not a state. So it's a give and take in a way, but obviously we feel treated, and this is probably gonna sound really harsh, but we feel like the bastard child of the United States, you know? Like, it's like, well, whatever I have left over, if I have time for you, then maybe I will, you know, give you
It's not
some.
really a wrong statement. That's not, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I honestly feel like it. I mean, people, you know, they ask me, they tell me, "Oh, you guys are American." I'm like, technically, we're U.S. citizens. You know, we're U.S. citizens, and I personally don't consider myself American, because there's so much more than just being able to live in a country that defines an American. You know, to me, a person who's American, you know, conveys the traditions of American people. And yeah, I'm Americanized, I guess, in a way. So I
Drink
do a lot of.
coffee.
I don't. I quit coffee 6 months ago.
Oh.
Yes.
And I guess that would be Colombian, too. Colombians are the coffee makers.
Yes. Yeah. So my Sofía Vergara comes out sometimes.
Which you guys will hear later in the podcast.
Right. But yeah, so my in Puerto Rico is huge. We freaking give coffee to kids in baby bottles. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, no, it's a big thing. We were considered one of the biggest coffee producers in way back when. But, you know, there's not a lot of people willing to work the coffee lands. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference in terms of, you know, government wise, but, you know, we use the same currency. You don't need a passport to go to Puerto Rico. The trips are pretty cheap. Flights are pretty cheap to go to Puerto Rico. The cruises go there. You know, that's one of our biggest income streams from anywhere in the world, really. And but yeah, we can vote for president. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this. If you decide to move to Puerto Rico, you forfeit your right to vote for president. You cannot vote for president anymore if you're a resident of Puerto Rico. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a break real quick, and we will actually come back with a cute little skit that I wrote with the talents of Isabel DeLaCruz doing her Sofía Vergara impression as best as she can, and with me doing a really horrible Vanilla Ice impression. But we'll be right back after this break.
This is the Vanilla and Vergara show.
Yeah, she got me, the ICE.
On our show, we go various restaurants around the world, taste their cuisine, and decide if they are bueno or asqueroso.
Like a poisonous mushroom, deadly.
Today, we go to the outskirts of one of my favorite cities, Capri, Italy. We dined at a little place called Pandora's Pasta. So let's just jump right into our review.
Quick to the point, no faking.
You're so divertido.
You're so fine, let's wine and dine. VIP, let's kick it.
You're so sweet. I love their in-house made fresh spaghetti. Muy el dente. What did you think about the spaghetti, Señor Ice?
Love it or leave it, you better gain weight.
I think that is a positive. And the red pasta sauce was very, very flavorful. Just the right amount of seasoning. A little tangy and a little sweet.
Anything less than the best is a felony.
I also like the fact that it was a never-ending pasta day on Tuesdays. And guess when we went? On Tuesday! You really liked the never-ending pasta too, didn't you, La Vanilla Ice?
Enough to shake and kick holes in the ground. We'll never stop. Yo, I don't know. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen.
Was that a yes?
Vanilla Ice? Yep.
And the meatballs were so good. No boca di pepo, but still exquisito.
This was far from a story you'll find in a book. Hot off the platter, and boy, could she cook!
I really liked the breadsticks too. They had tiny itty bitty bits of bacon inside them. Ugh, it was a lot of bacon too.
Like a pound of bacon. Burn them and they ain't quick and nimble.
We also shared a salmon of clams too.
All I heard were shells falling on the concrete real fast.
There were 4 clams on the plate, but I only had one. Just one. One of the 4 that were given to us.
Jealous, because I'm out getting mine.
No, not jealous. Just wish I had a chance to eat my fair share.
Conducted informed. This is a hell of a concept.
It's basic manners.
I like it ice cool, and you're colder than ever.
Are you at least sorry, el hielo vainilla?
Coming straight from the heart, vanilla ICE.
Okay, let's move on to our drinks then. The Chardonnay they gave us complemented all of this perfectly. It was bubbly, not too dry, and smooth going down.
Smooth, because that's the way I'll be. Just flowing smooth with the power, kicking it up hour after hour.
Oh, and the dessert was muy divino. A slice of German chocolate cake. Oh!
Sliced like a ninja, cut like a razor blade.
Would you recommend the cake to your friends?
I'd sell it by the gram.
Mr. Vanilla, can you give him the address to your restaurant, por favor?
A1A, Beachfront Avenue.
Gracias todos mis amigos. Next week we travel to Kakama, South Africa and check out the fine dining establishment of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Until then, adios chulos.
Yo man, let's get out of here.
La palabra tu madre?
Word to your mother.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go!
And cut.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, you mean all of it? I like how you're cracking up after every line.
It's like, what the fuck?
I know, it's ridiculous. It's great.
Número uno. Número dos. Todos. Vámonos. Bienvenidos al nuevo restaurante familiar, el Taco Baño. Nuestra comida es siempre fresca y simple para su comodidad. Le ofreceremos solamente dos menús, número uno o número dos. El número uno es nuestra especialidad, sopa amarilla. Y la número dos es un burrito grande con nuestro ingrediente secreto, salchichas morenas. Nuestra comida es tan rápida que las mesas están equipadas con sus propios sanitarios. Conveniente, ¿eh? Así que antes de ir a otro lugar, usted debe de venir aquí al Taco Baño.
Bienvenidos a un momento. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for listening to our ridiculous skit with Vanilla Ice and Sofía Vergara. Hope you enjoyed it and had a little bit of laugh through that.
I hope I did her some justice.
I apologize completely to Mr. Van Winkle. I know that I completely botched up a Vanilla Ice impression, but at least I put in some effort into it, so I tried. But you also got to work on Insatiable. So let's talk about Insatiable for a couple minutes before we have to close up.
Yeah, so yeah, Insatiable, I actually, I have this really, really bad habit of, like, not doing enough research sometimes. So I kind of just trust my agent, you know, like, oh, you submitted me for this, you know, I'm sure it's not porn, so let's do it, you know. And
then you found out it was.
right, so I get there, and I had no idea what the show was about at all. And I just go in there, I'm like, all I have is one line. All I'm saying is like, hey, you're holding up the line, right? So whatever, it doesn't matter. So I go in there, and I realize when we walk in, we go into this taco shop, but it's like a wiener tacos is what they had. And it was like, I think it's like, tastes like a winner, goes down like a taco, something like that. I was like, oh my gosh. And everything on the menu had a sexual innuendo. Everything. It was hilarious. I was like, wow, so whoever did this, like, put a lot of effort into this stuff. So I get there, and, you know, I'm supposed to be, like, the next one in line. I'm like, hey, do you have anything vegetarian? And she started laughing, right, after we cut. And when I look at the menu, they actually had a señorita taco, which is the taco without the winner. So I was like, all veggies and stuff. So they do have something vegetarian. So that was fun.
For those of you that like to toss your salad, I guess.
Right. They actually had them on set, though. They had the wiener tacos on set. Yes.
You got to try one.
Hell no, I don't eat meat.
Oh.
So
Other people got to try one.
right, a lot of people got to try them.
Was it good? People were throwing them away.
They did bring them, and I was like, even if I ate meat, I don't think I would. Like, hot dogs gross me out so bad that
I would probably love it because I love hot dogs. I love hot dogs. I love corn dogs.
you love everything,
brats.
Joe. Yeah, as long as it's free, guys. As long as it's free or it's on sale, specially free, just give it to Joe. He'll take it.
As
It
long
doesn't
as it
matter.
does not have avocado or blueberries.
That is
Those
BS.
are my only two exceptions that I do not like.
That is bullshit. You will eat anything.
No, I hate avocado. Anything avocado.
Really?
Guacamole's nasty.
Really?
Yeah.
I lived with you for over a year. I didn't know you hated avocado.
I never put it on my tacos.
Really?
Yeah, you'd have it there, and it's like, no,
So you
that's all yours.
So you are not a true Mexican. I knew it.
No,
I
close.
knew it.
That's why I like Taco Bell. I'm not a true Mexican.
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, thank you for being here, Isabel.
Thank
It's been
you.
great catching up with you again.
Totally.
We spent a year as roommates, like I mentioned before. So very close friend. We've gotten to know each other over the years and everything. And just so you guys know that she is engaged and getting married next month.
Yeah.
As we record this, it is next month.
Right.
She may have already been married by the time we get to this.
Right. Marrying Mr. Christopher Marks.
In April.
Yeah, April 26th. We're eloping at the Grand Canyon. If we weren't eloping, you would have been our bridesmaid our maid of honor and our best man. But unfortunately, well,
and
nobody's
I really
invited.
wanted to wear that dress. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know. I knew you would have rocked it.
I have the hips for it.
Yes.
Adios, amigos y amigas. Oh. Mi rindo. Mi rindo. Coño, mi rindo. Thank you again to our special guest, Isabel DeLaCruz. Huge thank you to our previous guest, Marian Singh, our current guest, Isabel DeLaCruz, and our upcoming guest, Indiana Cifuentes, for providing their voiceover talents in the La Llorona, My Llorona commercial. Special shout-out thanks to Addison for all her assistance on this episode. Be sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Look us up on Spotify, Stitcher, and on iTunes. And you can also check out another podcast I co-host, The Extraordinary, and some other great media content by Moon Possum Productions at moonpossum.com.